Hey everybody, Z-Wink here and welcome back to Bug Bounty Bootcamp. This is our Bug Bounty Bootcamp series where we're talking about everything you need to know to get started hunting on the integrity, ethical, hacking, bug bounty platform. They are the #1 hacking platform in Europe. Tons of researchers, tons of active programs, cool looking artwork like this guy. And if you didn't know, they also have live Twitter posts like all the time, right? Like news feeds and news updates and cybersecurity tips and all sorts of stuff. So if you haven't followed them, they are at @integrity. All right, so let's do that. Let's go over here. Let's go to Google. No, let's go to DuckDuckGo. You know, just Google what they'll do. Google will block me every single time. Do integrity Twitter. Check this out, integrity Twitter. It's going to take us right there, I believe. Found it. That's them. So if you want to follow the news updates on the Integrity platform and get cool hacking tips and stuff, definitely follow @integrity on Twitter. That is the yeet. Let's go ahead and click on them. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh, that is really cool looking. So one day my glorious face will be up there among the great. And I need to get on that actually. But first I'm teaching everybody. So until I'm done teaching, I can't hack. I can't hack and teach at the same time. It's too hard. So here's what's up today. We have gone over what bug bounty hunting is. We have talked about what integrity is. We've talked about tools, how to get them set up. We have talked about where to go to get trained on your bug bounty knowledge as far as the types of vulnerabilities you can find. We talked about, Web Academy and Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, all that good stuff. And we also talked about the basics of the payloads that you see while working in Burp Suite Community Edition so that you know what it is you're looking at on the screen. Beyond that, what I want to do today is sort of drive home, bring home everything that we've talked about, and just go dive into, we'll call it a real environment. I can't actually hack a real environment in a video because people tend to get really mad about that. I'm not sure why, but they do. So I have permission from Z Shano, creator of bugbountytraining.com and bugbountyhunter.com. And he gave me permission to show some stuff here. I've never been on this environment. Never been on it. I clicked this button in the last video. That's how much I've been on this environment. So we're going to check out, I think this is actually where we need to be. We're going to check out this environment today and just talk about sort of the methodology, the thought process when approaching a new target. People ask all the time, Z-Wink, what is your methodology and approach? Well, I can't do my exact methodology and approach with the Community Edition, but I want to use the Community Edition today with you to sort of mimic how I would go about this. And it works out good because he doesn't want people automated scanning this target because it's not meant for that volume of activity, right? It's to teach you to manually look at and discover and tinker with and find vulnerabilities, which is great. That's how I hunt 99% of the time anyway. I only do like scanning for reconnaissance and for like looking for hidden directories and files and indicators of what sort of software and platform and environment a target's running on. That's sort of where my automation ends most of the time, and then I start like getting into it manually. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to just copy this URL right here. Actually, I think I can probably just do the domain. I'm going to be a little bit lazy. And we're going to take out the Web Security Academy from our last video. Go ahead and put in bugbountytraining/.com, and we'll go ahead and add the /dot as well. I just want to make sure I pick up everything here, /.com. So we got those two guys. Shouldn't have any traffic, looking good. Let's do a refresheration. That's a word. Oh man, that was exhausting. All right, bugbountytraining.com and fast food hackings. Cool, man. We're up and running. So we're on a new environment, and what we see immediately on the screen is that we requested fastfoodhackings.com and it returned us an HTML page. Cool. That's not what jumped out at me immediately. What jumped out at me first was the fact that this thing's running PHP. And you know that because there's unrequested requests, which have been made to PHP files. And these were extracted probably just from either JavaScript files or the source code on the page, from hyperlinks when I visited the main URL, okay? We've got some XML pages for a browser config. I don't know that I've ever actually seen that before. So let's see exactly what all we got going on here. And let's just, where to start, right? I guess let's register for an account. That sounds like a good place to start. So let's go log in and register. Register an account. Our website is currently in invite-only mode. Either find a friend to invite you, or you can request an account below. Okay, so I'm requesting an account. Really? Really? Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Are you lying? Okay. Well, maybe that's intended behavior. I'm honestly not sure if that's like part of the app or if I'm actually supposed to be able to have an invite. I don't know. Let's just see what happens here. Let's do like A and A in the password dialog box here. And oops, an error occurred. Please make sure your credentials are correct and try again. Index.php act equals login. Okay, that was cool. So let's just look at the login dialog first. That's always a fun place to explore. And I've still got the font gigantic, so I hope people can look at this. We talked about, and I think our second or third video, I think the third video, the difference between get and post request, right? This is a post request that's got an action defined, apparently. I'm guessing act stands for action. And the action is login, and we've got a username and password parameter defining sort of, I guess, our username and password, right, in the payload. Now, we see over here in the response header that the system is running Ubuntu and the version of Ubuntu it's running. I don't know offhand if that version of Ubuntu is vulnerable to anything, but that would be something worth checking. I'm just talking through my mindset here. We're not necessarily going to find a lot or maybe any vulnerabilities here in the time we've got because I'm talking so much. But I want to make sure I'm explaining sort of what I think through, right, and what I notice. I notice a lot of things really fast and I really stop to think about it. So yeah, so this would be something that I would flag and bookmark, right? We now know that it's running that version of NGINX and on Ubuntu, and maybe that tells us something, right? All right, so we send over to the repeater now. I'm going to say right-click, send to repeater, and we now have this request over here to play with in the repeater. Let's go ahead and send it back over, and we get a 200 OK response. And in the OK response, it says, oops, an error has occurred. Please make sure your credentials are correct and try again. Down here at the bottom right, underneath my integrity logo, you can see it was 22,564 bytes. The reason and you can also see the content length up here is another sort of indicator of length. The reason I noticed that is because it's returning a 200 response code, like an OK response code, even when the credentials are bad. So you don't have the response code to go off on necessarily if something's wrong, maybe just the content length. So if I send it an A and a B, C like that, does it get any different? Still 22,395. So what that tells me is I should expect something different if the result changes in any way. Now, SQL injection, I know we haven't talked about in this series, which I don't think we've talked about in this series, but you know, SQL injection is the idea of terminating a SQL statement that looks something up in a database. So usually username and passwords are sent into a SQL statement or a stored procedure or a query or something, right? And it pulls back a record and that user's information, and if it matches, right, the content you sent matches the content in the database, the password in this particular case matches the username, then it'll log you in. Well, sometimes you can send a quote mark or something and it will sort of blow up the query and allow you to do things. So let's send it a single quote here. 22,395, nope. Another single quote, 22,395, nope. Little two dashes, let's see what that does. 22,395, nope. So, you know, there could be a blind injection vulnerability here. There could be no injection at all. What I'm going to do is just do a single quote or 1 equals 1. This is a payload that will basically terminate a username statement and delete the rest of the query out, comment out the rest of the query, making it so you don't actually have to enter the correct password for a username if it exists. So let's see if a username admin exists. It doesn't need the password, 2395. Nope, that didn't work. Test. Remember, this is all manual tampering, so we don't have any automation available to us here. Now we come over here to the password and we do the same thing. Nope, absolutely no response difference whatsoever. So maybe there's nothing SQL injection related on the login dialog. Now we know that the stuff we enter in the username and password is not being reflected into the response because the content length is not changing, so we don't need to check any sort of injection in that sense, like cross-site scripting or something. It's not likely to be any sort of issue here for that. It just says, oops, an error occurred, your credentials are incorrect. All right, let's go back for a minute. We'll put a pin in the login dialog box. There's an act equals login parameter. Let's not put a pin in it quite yet. Let's go back over. Let's look at that parameter up there at the top. So let's get rid of this so we don't cause an aneurysm. And let's change the action to password, maybe like a password reset form or something. We did get a different response code back. We got a different length, 22,427. An error occurred, make sure credentials are correct. Interesting. Invite only, something changed there. So let's put it back to admin, 22.427, 22.424, act equals login. It was login, not admin, wasn't it? All right, so let's see if this is being reflected in any way. 1, 2, 3. Now let's come down here and search for XXX 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, there we go. So there's our first likely vulnerability. We could tell that something was happening because the content length was changing every time we sent a request, right? So like I showed you in the last video, I often use the canary XXX123, and we see that it's being echoed out into what are comments on the page. So the server is writing out the value that was sent as an action into comment blocks that don't actually display on the screen. So you wouldn't see this unless you were maybe looking at the source code, which is a great reason to use the repeater and not the browser for a lot of your testing. So now if we want to see if there's a cross-site scripting vulnerability here or something, what we could do is probably terminate the comments early right here. And then let's see how this would work. Yeah, that should probably work just fine. And then maybe let's do, we're up above the HTML tag, that's fun. Let's do something like this. We'll just do our little alert box, right? And what we're trying to do is make sure that what we insert is not commented out. So the first thing I'm doing is making sure the comments are first. Now I'm gonna hit Control U here to, I'll highlight and hit Control U to make sure that everything's URL encoded, which basically just added a plus sign for the space, but I'm send that over now. Okay, so he's got script tags filtered out, also fun. Really didn't make this super easy, did you, Zishano? Did ya, Jimmy? So what we're gonna have to do is get a little bit more creative and see what can be injected right here, or maybe case alter the script. Let's do like that, and like that, and like that. Old school techniques, right? No, that's rude. We can try URL encoding some stuff. Let's do like, try some different encoding techniques. You could do URL encode all characters that are highlighted. No. We could do HTML encoding. Let's do that on just one character, which should probably work. Let's do HTML encode all characters. That's pretty funny. Okay, I got a URL encode and HTML encode. Life is so difficult sometimes. We got the bracket S in there though. This is the sort of stuff that drives me nuts playing with live. Anyway, let's back it. Let's just see if all the tags are. Let's see what tags are allowed first. Let's back into it. Be a little easier, wouldn't it? Okay, it likes anchor tags. That's cool. All right, cool. We have to work a little harder than just using script tags. Wow. Not nice, man. Not nice. I'm going to go ahead, because it bothers me, I'm going to go ahead and re-comment out that little trailing tag right there. It doesn't seem clean to me. Let's do this. Let's do a body. Let's see if it'll take a body tag. On load equals test. Let's just do 1 on load. Okay, so we're doing a body tag instead of an anchor tag now. We're just playing. We're playing, and it's amazing. All right, took the body tag, but doesn't allow event handler. Dude, really? All right, let's see. How hard do I want to work on a live video here? Let's do this. href is equal to JavaScript alert 1. Let's see. We'll just go easiest mode possible. Click me for cookies. Okay, let's try that. Hate cross-site scripting. I love this. This is a fun game, right? And so this already to me is a great environment. This is a great environment for testing different tactics and payloads to see what gets by the filter here. So he put what I would say is a very easy to find injection point, and then put some rather annoying mitigations in place. So, you know, this whole idea of automated testing would be very useful right here, or having a lot of payloads available to you in order to automate, you know, or at least make easier the process of testing for this stuff. When I do cross-site scripting testing like this, and I know that there's an injection point, you know, it depends on how much time I've got as to whether or not I feel like going down this rabbit hole. because I have a full-time job. You have to realize, you know, some of you might have lots and lots of time, but like if this is one of those things where you have to defeat a WAF and a whole bunch of, you know, server-side stuff, redacting what it is you're sending and whatnot, you know, it could take like hours or even a day to figure out exactly the payload you need to send it over. And it's like, well, it's a P3. What does the P3 pay on that program? Is it worth a day's effort? So, you know, you got to make these kind of decisions when you're bug bounty hunting. I'm going to leave this one for here, y'all. Here for y'all to continue playing with. It's definitely solvable, right? You've got tags in there. I mentioned the iframe tag in the last one. Let's see if it allows an iframe tag. I just have to know now, because that's an easy P3. So sometimes what I'll do, if it's reflected cross-site scripting anyway, but an iframe is achievable, I'll literally just leave it at iframe injection because it's the exact same payout. It's the whole work smart, not hard methodology, right? So let's see. No, he didn't let us do that. It doesn't look like. It's rude. It's like he didn't want us to get paid for it. That's not nice. All right. So yeah, y'all follow up on this one. I think this is a really good training exercise. I will show you indicators of things, and then you can continue following up on it. The very easy solutions didn't work here, so it's going to require a little bit of tomfoolery to trick the server-side library he's got. You know, to basically, you might have to double tag things or put closing tags first. What you want to Google here is like, let me think. Polyglots could be useful, right? Google the term polyglot. Here, I'll walk us through this for a second. This is worth doing, I think. Go.com, XSS polyglot. I don't know. Maybe not. What is this? Let's find something useful. I like Google. It just brings up stuff. So what polyglot have you come up with? That's neat. Look at all that crap. Oh my gosh. This is interesting. Now, if you can find payloads that have a whole bunch of stuff pre-typed out, it'll give you sort of an idea of what is and is not being redacted, right? When you send something across. So, interesting. On-click made it through via case altering right there. Right, whereas on-click was kind of taken out before. So don't want to spend too much time on this. It's kind of like you have a bone to pick with. You want to keep messing with it, but you also realize there's other stuff because you're in a live video and you should really be teaching more. This is kind of like, do I want to mess with it or not? Test. All right, let's see. It might just take out the event handlers if detected after, you know, the regex is detecting it after a tag, which is very common. You have to put a space between that. There we go. Yeah, so that's probably what's happening there. So you're probably gonna have to do some double encoding or double tagging and all sorts of stuff. Y'all follow up on that. That's cool. So that's one vulnerability that you can find if you work pretty hard at it, it looks like. Let's see what else we got on the page. This browser config.xml has my attention. Let's send this to the repeater. I'm giving you an intro to this cool, I've never seen that. Is this common? Browser config, interesting. It gives you an intro sort of to an environment you can go play with and try to find real vulnerabilities. You don't get paid for them, but it doesn't make it not fun, right? Let's see if this accepts a post request. You know, it's an XML page, right? No, nothing like that. Put request. Why am I checking this for put and post? Well, it's XML. I thought, you know, maybe it'll accept an XML payload. You can do something fun with it. But I just kind of seeing it, playing around. It's closed registration. I am interested to know if that's intentional as part of the actual application itself, or like something else. Let's just go to our menu. Let's play around a little bit. We didn't click much. Whenever you get on a target and you want to find vulnerabilities, the first thing I always tell people to do: use all the features, click all the buttons, eat all the pizza, like this lady. So make sure you're eating all the pizza. Now, this actually has a pretty decent amount of content in it, doesn't it? All right, we want pizza. Can I order it? How do I order it? It doesn't. It's just the menu. You can't actually order anything off of it. That's rude. What a tease. You can't click or do anything. I just want to order pizza. All right, well, fine. Let's go to our locations instead. Hey, there's Sean. There's Sean himself. Sean and the dog. Sean and the dog. It's Lucio, like from Overwatch. That would be pretty cool. What all we got down here? That's going to be just Google API plugged in. No smoking, pet friendly. That's locations. The team. It's Lucio. What's this? It's not doing anything. Bum, 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 bum. Boom, 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 boom. I think I broke everything. I don't know. All right, return home. All right, here's book, fast food, weekly specials, Freak Out Friday, Battle of the Hackers. That's cute. Inside fast food. This looks like a WordPress template. Book now. So real hacking, guys, super exciting stuff. All right, now when we clicked all those things, we had some more unrequested pages come up. We've got a confirm.php with an order ID parameter, and we've got a promo code on the book.php. So parameters are always interesting as injection points. Yeah, we've got a lot more interesting stuff now, right? We've got a file equals reviews.php, which that looks serious potentially. Let's investigate that, right? Let's just go logically next in step here. As you can see, my brain flocks directly toward parameters first. It's just the way I think before I go deeper on anything else. So this was a loader.php. This could have a number of different issues with it if the server-side language is literally just set to load whatever it is you type in. So we send this over to the repeater now, and we don't have all our cool tools like the collaborator, which is a bummer in this. So I don't know how to check and see, at least in this piece of software right now, if we're getting like out of band stuff. But let's go ahead and just see what happens if I type in a different page. So reviews.php, what other pages do we know exist? Let's do /API/invites.php. Right? Let's see what's up there. Okay, it's interesting. What if I give it a page that doesn't exist? Okay, that's not as interesting. All right, so let's just do some directory traversal stuff. We know it's on Linux, right? So let's start with the old basics here. This would try to load etc password in the current directory, right? So now we need to start figuring out how many directories up we are on the file system and see if after some period of time we get something back. Boom, boom, boom. Shouldn't be that many directories up, to be honest, so it's probably not working. Boom, 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 boom. All right, that's interesting. So what did this return back? It found reviews.php. What I'd like to know now is if reviews.php lives in the API directory. So let's check that first, just as a sanity check, right? Does this return the same content? No. So does it live at the root? No. Does it live back here? No. Interesting. So where is reviews.php coming from, right? That would be something good to investigate. Oh, it's so fun. This is so fun. I really recommend, oh gosh, this time is flying by. I don't want to bore you all to tears. Listen, this kind of stuff is how you get in and you start learning about hacking in a real world environment. I actually am loving this and want to start playing in it now. We've got all these different, okay, I'm not going to keep going deep on that. I want to just try to show you some more indicators. Let's just keep going through indicators because you can go and try to solve these on your own and I think it'll be fun. Let's again, anytime you see a parameter, right, investigate on it. We've got an order ID equals, and then give it a 1 or give it something else. You play with that parameter. That's a good one to look at. Promo code UK only. What happens if you start typing in other things? Oh, that's set a cookie value of UK only. So that's neat. Let's see if it does it for anything you type in. Because that would allow you to set a cookie in somebody else's browser if it lets you type in anything. Anything. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so that could be a problem, right? If you're allowed to set a cookie for anybody else through a reflected parameter. So if somebody clicks that link and you're able to set a cookie that does something malicious, maybe that cookie is consumed and then could cause cross-site scripting somewhere if you enter malicious content into it, like this maybe, right? And then you load a page and then it'll execute the script. Let's go see real quick. That'll be fun. Maybe do a quick one. Bum 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 bum. Boom, 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 boom. It's a little bit slow from loading the Google content, I think. So the interesting thing you would need to investigate is if that creates a cookie, which it looks like it did, a promotion cookie, right? Where does the promotion cookie render? And it likely, because it is called a promotion, will likely render on the checkout page or wherever you reserve your stuff. So 19, why are you doing it? 1980, there we go, let's reserve booking. I want to see if we can get to a checkout page. Okay. Well, hey, there's an order ID, and now we've got an order ID we can test with and go from there. There might be an IDOR by order IDs. You know how much I love IDORs, people. I mean, come on. IDOR, this is my order ID. Yeah, I don't know. That didn't do anything, did it? Another order ID. This says 302 found. 302 found. 302 found. I tell you nothing. The order is pending. Okay. So now let's come over and look at that. Payload, confirm. This is the base 64 encoded order ID. I can just look at that and tell. So we take that value, we go over to the decoder. We decode it as base 64. We get 42069. We now change it to 42068. We encode as base 64. Come back over, we now change that value and see if we get some other data back, right? That would be an IDOR, and it looks like that may have actually worked. Yep, 42068, full name, email, where's the values? Yep, where? There you are. So see, that's somebody else's PII information now. So that was an IDOR by order ID, and this is why you test parameters, right? You get used to just finding cool things like that. You see why I hunt IDORs. Given the amount of effort that cross-site scripting injection may have been to solve versus this literally took me 5 seconds, they pay the same thing or more, IDORs. So I always look for these first, and that's why you see me showing you IDORs in so many videos. Insecure direct object references are literally just where the server forgets to check for access controls for an ID for the logged in user. So you see these all over the place, and they almost always return users PII or change something sensitive for that user, and they're almost always a P3 or higher. And that's why I'm just like, yeah, a lot of times they're P1s. That's why I just prefer to hunt those first. And then if I'm on a target and I run out of those to find, I'll start working backwards to CSRS and XSS and, you know, the more difficult injections to find. But I always start with what I like to consider the low-hanging fruit first. So yeah, go through this. This is a great exercise. Go through this and examine all these parameters. And I think there's 15 vulnerabilities on here. We've maybe only stumbled onto 4 or 5 here so far. Looks like there's a lot left to look at. So I would love to go through an entire video of this thing, which probably would take like 2 hours. But great target. I recommend heading over and looking at this. And again, like I mentioned in the last video, get over to the Web Security Academy, Portswigger, the Try Hack Me website. This is another great resource. Now that I've been on it, I need to make sure to send some props to ZSono on Twitter. And just start practicing, guys. If you want to get good at bug bounty, you've got to put in the time and you've got to put in the training. You might pick 1 or 2 or 3 vulnerability types that are your favorite to hunt, and that's okay. You don't have to be great at hunting 20 different vulnerability types. It just makes you more versatile depending on the target. You might get to a target where the ones you like to hunt don't exist. Like, you're not going to find many of those. Like, I like insecure direct object reference is my favorite, but if I get on a target where all the objects are GUIs, these large 32 character strings or whatever that you're not going to brute force, it takes a lot of the fun out of it for me. So then I have to decide, okay, well, broken access control is going to be a bear. So, do I want to continue on this target and look for all the other things, or do I want to just move on to a different site? And that's my call. You get a lot of freedom in this field. You get to work remotely, you get to choose your targets, you get to choose when you hack and how you hack. It's a really cool field. That's why I recommend it. So again, thanks so much. Bug Bounty Bootcamp series here, and sponsored by Integrity. Great platform, guys. Head on over there, sign up, get an account, see what you can find on this very fast-growing platform. 400 plus programs over in Europe, and be the next person to have a cool, a cool caricature. How do you say that word? Caricature. Cartoon of yourself made. Thanks for tuning in, people. This is Z-Wing from Z-Wing University, and I'll be back soon. Have a good one.